In the glittering heart of Paris, where the cobblestone streets echo with history and the air smells of fresh pastries and perfume, the fashion world gathered for one of its most anticipated spectacles, Haute Couture Week. Designers, models, and celebrities from every corner of the globe converged on this city of lights, where every gown tells a story, every step on the runway is a statement, and every appearance is scrutinized through the unblinking eye of the public. Yet among the usual glitterati, one pair captured the camera's attention in a way that was as inevitable as it was surprising: Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. Their arrival was not merely an entrance, it was a declaration. The billionaire entrepreneur, known for his ventures into space and the unrelenting growth of Amazon, had always been a figure of immense influence. Yet this time, he was walking a different runway, the delicate, nuanced, and at times treacherous world of high fashion. Beside him, Lauren Sanchez, a woman whose own career had shifted from the bright lights of television to the glare of social media stardom, embodied poise and elegance that could rival the very designers whose creations they had come to celebrate. Together, they represented not just a couple attending an event, they were a power duo, stepping into a world where image is everything and every gaze is both judgment and admiration. But Paris, for all its romance and beauty, is also a city of whispers. For every stunning ensemble and perfectly coiffed hair, there is a backstory. The deals that were made behind closed doors, the rivalries simmering beneath polite smiles, and the ever-present scrutiny of the press and public alike. For Jeff and Lauren, this world was not unfamiliar, but the stakes were different. The cameras were not merely following them. They were dissecting them, frame by frame, capturing the tension between personal intimacy and public persona, between love and legacy. As they navigated the red carpets and private showings, each moment became a calculated dance. Lauren Sanchez, in a striking red skirt suit that drew immediate attention, demonstrated a mastery of poise that spoke volumes without words. Every step, every glance, every subtle smile communicated confidence, elegance, and a deep understanding of the spectacle she had entered. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos, whose name often conjures images of boardrooms and rocket launches, revealed a surprisingly human side. The deliberate care in his gestures, the attentiveness to Lauren, the almost unspoken conversation that seemed to flow between them without a single word. Yet, as always, where there is light, shadows are never far behind. The paparazzi's lenses were merciless, capturing every nuance, every interaction, every potential misstep. Fashion insiders whispered about the symbolism of their attire, the designers chosen, the timing of their appearances. Was it mere coincidence that they arrived at the same shows as longtime fashion royalty, or was this a subtle assertion of influence, a quiet statement that the worlds of business and celebrity were not as separate as some might think? These questions hovered in the air, unspoken yet palpable, adding a layer of intrigue to an already magnetic presence. Behind the scenes, the planning was meticulous. Every aspect of their appearance, from the fit of the couture to the accessories that punctuated their ensembles, had been considered. Stylist teams worked in quiet corners, adjusting hemlines, polishing shoes, and ensuring that every detail was nothing short of perfection. For Lauren, this was not just about beauty, it was about narrative. Her look had to communicate sophistication and power, but also warmth and accessibility. For Jeff, the message was equally complex: presence without ostentation, influence without arrogance. Together, they had become more than attendees. They were symbols, living metaphors for ambition, style, and carefully curated personal branding. And yet, as the cameras clicked and flashes illuminated their every move, there was a subtle undercurrent of tension. In the world of Parisian haute couture, appearances are never merely superficial. They are statements, provocations, and sometimes invitations to controversy. The media's gaze, always hungry for the next headline, searched for cracks, any hint of discord, any sign of misstep. But Jeff and Lauren, in their measured elegance, seemed to navigate this treacherous terrain with an almost imperceptible grace. Each smile, each hand gesture, Each shared glance became a study in subtle communication, a silent script that the public was only beginning to decode. As the week unfolded, they moved through exclusive dinners, private viewings, and lavish after-parties, each setting offering its own drama and intrigue. In these moments, the ordinary rules of celebrity were suspended. Here, the powerful and famous mingled not just to be seen, but to see, to assess, to negotiate invisible hierarchies of taste, influence, and status. And through it all, Jeff and Lauren maintained a presence that was both commanding and understated, a paradox that would only deepen the fascination of the world watching from afar. It was, in many ways, a lesson in modern celebrity, where wealth and visibility intersect with personal narrative. For fans and critics alike, every photograph, every whispered conversation, every public appearance became part of a larger story, one that was about more than fashion or business. It was a story about ambition, partnership, and the delicate art of navigating a world where image can be as powerful as action, where perception can define reality as much as any tangible achievement. As the cameras flashed and Paris shimmered under the glow of streetlights and chandeliers, the usual stars of music and cinema seemed almost secondary. This week, the real spectacle was not on the screen but on the runway, and the most captivating guests were not actors or pop icons, but Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Bezos themselves. Their presence was magnetic, commanding attention without a single overt gesture, yet their arrival seemed to shift the energy of the entire fashion week. They were not mere patrons, attending for the sake of being seen. In the eyes of insiders, they were something more. True fashion connoisseurs, influencers whose tastes and choices could subtly ripple across the industry, shaping trends, inspiring designers, and capturing headlines in equal measure. Throughout the week, they moved with a quiet elegance, attending some of the most prestigious shows that Paris had to offer. Hand in hand, they appeared on the red carpets and inside the grand venues, their presence almost cinematic in its perfection. Lauren Sanchez Bezos, radiant in a bright red skirt suit, carried a Schiaparelli clutch that seemed to catch the light in every photograph. The ensemble was more than a fashion statement. It was a declaration. In red, she spoke of confidence, boldness, and a woman unafraid to step into the spotlight while maintaining a sophistication that whispered of refinement rather than extravagance. But her style did not end there. Only hours later, she returned in a light blue suit adorned with a prominent fur collar, a look that transformed her aura entirely. Where the red had been daring, the blue was serene, regal even, signaling versatility, taste, and the kind of careful attention to detail that marks a true fashion insider. Each outfit was more than clothing. It was storytelling, a visual narrative that the cameras, the press, and the fashion elite could read in a single glance. Backstage, the dynamics shifted once again. Away from the glare of public cameras, Jeff and Lauren stepped into a world reserved for insiders, a realm of designers, creative directors, and fashion executives where influence is wielded quietly but powerfully. Here, they posed alongside Dior's visionary creative director, Jonathan Anderson, and CEO Delphine Arnault, a meeting that spoke volumes without a single headline needing to be written. In these photographs, one could sense the unspoken conversation of mutual respect and recognition, a billionaire and a rising media figure connecting not through fame alone, but through a shared understanding of vision, taste, and cultural influence. Every gesture, every glance backstage carried weight. For those watching, it was a reminder that Paris Fashion Week is about more than dresses and suits. It is about influence, hierarchy, and the subtle interplay between public image and private power. Jeff Bezos, whose name is synonymous with commerce, innovation, and the modern world of business, moved here with a careful awareness of optics, while Lauren Sanchez Bezos, who had built her own reputation in media and social spheres, carried herself with a poise that suggested both mastery and intention. Together, they became symbols not just of wealth or celebrity, but of a deeper narrative, the intersection of influence, taste, and strategy in a world where visibility is currency and perception can redefine reality. And while the cameras captured the glamour and the elegance, it was the nuances, the shared smiles, the subtle adjustments of posture, the quick conversations in quiet corners that told the most compelling story. Fashion, in this context, was a language, and Jeff and Lauren spoke it fluently. Each appearance, each outfit, each carefully curated pose was a sentence, a phrase, a paragraph in a narrative that the world was eager to read, dissect, and discuss. By the end of the week, it was clear that they had achieved something rare. In a city defined by spectacle, they had become the spectacle. Not because they demanded attention, but because their every move suggested a command of the cultural landscape, a fluency in style, and a deep understanding of the stage upon which they had chosen to perform. The story of Jeff and Lauren Sanchez Bezos' rise as fashion insiders extends far beyond the runways of Paris. In January 2025, the couple attended one of the most politically charged events in recent American history, Donald Trump's presidential inauguration. Accompanying them was the Arnault family, whose patriarch sits at the very pinnacle of luxury fashion as the head of LVMH. The image of these two worlds intersecting, business titans, political spectacle, and fashion royalty, was a striking reminder that influence is not limited to a single sphere. In this carefully curated universe, every appearance is a statement, every handshake a signal, and every photograph a message that travels across the globe. Lauren Sanchez Bezos, in particular, began to solidify her reputation as a force within fashion itself. Observers noted her presence in the inner circle of Anna Wintour, a figure whose influence in the industry is legendary, almost mythic. More intriguingly, rumors began to circulate that Sanchez Bezos had enlisted superstar stylist La Roche, known for shaping the red carpet images of some of Hollywood's most glamorous and talked-about stars. While Roche himself did not comment on these reports, the very association, if confirmed, positioned Sanchez Bezos at the heart of fashion's most visible and influential stage. Every outfit she wore, every appearance she made, became an exercise in narrative construction, a lesson in the power of visual storytelling. Her previous work in the industry already hinted at this trajectory. She had walked in shows for Balenciaga and Chanel, two of the most influential names in contemporary couture, and had become a client of Schiaparelli, a house known for its audacious designs and daring approach to elegance. Her own wedding in Venice in June 2025 further cemented her reputation. For the ceremony, she selected a Dolce & Gabbana gown, a choice that combined classic beauty with modern allure, and she incorporated a Schiaparelli creation into the event's festivities, signaling not just a personal style but a curatorial eye for iconic fashion. The coverage of the wedding by Vogue made it clear. Sanchez Bezos was no longer simply attending fashion events. She was shaping the conversation, commanding attention, and subtly influencing taste. Now, the whispers have grown louder. Speculation surrounds the couple's possible sponsorship of the 2026 Met Gala, an event that has long been treated as a sacred rite within fashion. The gala is more than a party. It is a theater of influence, a stage where Vogue, designers, and celebrities converge, where guest lists are debated, and where the industry codifies the mythology of style and power. If the Bezos couple is indeed moving into this sphere, it signals a significant shift, not just for them, but for the fashion world itself. It represents a new level of access, a position from which they can quietly shape perception, and perhaps even redefine who is considered capable of wielding influence in an industry that has traditionally been tightly curated. Experts note that the fashion world is in a delicate balancing act. There is a conscious effort to embrace inclusivity while maintaining a respect for heritage and classicism, and the choices of who walks which runway, who attends which gala, and who graces which magazine cover have far-reaching implications. In this context, Lauren Sanchez Bezos' growing presence is emblematic of a subtle but meaningful transformation. It is no longer sufficient to merely observe the industry from the outside. To truly influence it, one must occupy its inner circles, command its attention, and understand its codes of power, timing, and narrative. The potential Met Gala sponsorship represents precisely that kind of cultural leverage. By stepping into this arena, the couple is not just attending, they are signaling that they understand the intricate choreography of fashion, social influence, and media storytelling. They are asserting that influence is not limited by background or by the path traditionally laid out by fashion elites. It is, at its core, about presence, poise, strategy, and the ability to navigate a world where every glance, every ensemble, and every handshake contributes to the ongoing mythology of style. And so, the narrative continues, from Paris to Venice to the potential stages of New York's most exclusive event. Jeff and Lauren Sanchez Bezos have moved from being observers to participants, from being admired to being emulated, from being photographed to becoming the very subjects of discussion themselves. Their journey is a study in the intersections of power, taste, and visibility. A modern tale of influence played out not in boardrooms or private jets, but on runways, red carpets, and in the curated pages of fashion's most prestigious publications.